Alright, let's talk about what's really going on here. Because this is not just another poll. This is one of those moments where you can actually feel the ground shifting under the political landscape. All week long, you had critics confidently saying that One Nation had hit its ceiling, that this was it, that the surge was over, that they'd plateaued and would slowly fade back into the background like they always supposedly do. And then, boom, this poll drops, and suddenly that narrative doesn't just look shaky, it looks completely detached from reality.
Critics of One Nation told us this week the party had peaked in its popularity. But according to the latest Sky News YouGov poll, for the first time, Labor and One Nation's primary vote is tied. Have a look at this. Labor is sitting at 27%, the lowest primary vote recorded for the party. One Nation up 2%, also now at 27%. The coalition unchanged on 20%. In terms of two-party preferred, Labor is sitting at 52%, that's down 3. One Nation up 48%. And if you compare that to Labor and the coalition, Labor is sitting at 53%, the coalition's gone up 2% to 47%. And of course, as the fuel crisis bites and Labor seems adamant to lead us down this renewables-only magic carpet ride, well, guess what? 57% support increasing gas and oil exploration and production domestically. Gee, don't tell Chris Bowen, whatever you do, don't show him this poll. In terms of energy reserves, when asked, would you support the government spending $20 billion to increase fuel supplies, 27% strongly.
Before we continue, do us a little favour by subscribing to the channel, because over 98% of you watching haven't subscribed. It costs you nothing, not even a penny, to join this channel. Have you subscribed? Thanks so much.
For the first time ever, One Nation is sitting level with Labor on the primary vote, both at 27%. Let that sink in for a second. Not close, not within margin, not approaching. Tied. Dead even. And here's the part that should really make people sit up. This isn't because One Nation exploded out of nowhere. Yes, they've gone up slightly, but the real story here is Labor collapsing to its lowest primary vote on record. That's not just a bad week. That's not a dip. That's a warning sign flashing in bright red. Meanwhile, the coalition is just there, sitting on 20%, barely moving, which honestly makes this whole situation even more fascinating, because this isn't your typical two-party tug-of-war anymore. Something else is happening. Voters are clearly looking outside the traditional options, and One Nation is the one picking up that momentum.
James, by all means. The fact is that, preferences haven't blown our way. We've got the Labor, the Greens, these other organisations out there, left-leaning, small organisations that are blowing the preferences away from One Nation. The polling shows us that in some rural and regional areas, we're polling as high as 40% of the vote. Now that will win us seats, by all means. But like I said, it's 2 years outside the election. We've got a lot of work to do. I've got to put out my policies to prove to people that we can do it. We do have the answers to a lot of problems that we have. So don't mistake what I'm saying. I intend to go for it. I'm not going to sit back on my laurels and see this country go down the drain as it has under, there's no leadership. Albanese is the worst Prime Minister I have ever seen. There's no leadership in the Liberal Party. They're fighting with each other, which makes me so mad. In the state of the country, they're all, no, I want to be leader, I want to be leader, I want to be leader. And there's no leadership whatsoever.
Now, when you move into the two-party preferred numbers, Labor is still technically ahead, but even there you can see the shift. They've dropped, One Nation has climbed, and the gap is narrowing in a way that would have sounded ridiculous just a few years ago. But here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just about personalities or campaign slogans. This is about something much deeper. This is about energy, fuel, and the growing frustration people feel about how those issues are being handled. Australians are being squeezed. They're feeling it every time they fill up their car, every time they see prices creeping up, every time they hear another announcement about long-term renewable targets, while dealing with very immediate, very real shortages. And the response from the government? it feels disconnected. It feels like they're talking about a future vision while people are struggling in the present. That's why this next part of the polling is so important, because it cuts through all the political spin and goes straight to what people actually want. A clear majority, and not a small one, support increasing domestic oil and gas exploration. Not a fringe view, not controversial in the real world. 57% are on board with it. And honestly, can you blame them? Australia is sitting on massive natural resources. We're not some country scrambling to find supply. We have it. It's there. And yet somehow we've ended up in a situation where we're looking overseas, asking for help, importing what we could be producing ourselves. That's where the frustration really kicks in. Because people remember, or at least they're starting to realise, that this wasn't always the case. For decades after World War II, Australia focused heavily on building up energy independence. We had the mindset of using what we had, securing our own supply, making sure we weren't vulnerable. And then, somewhere along the line, that mindset shifted. Over the past couple of decades, policies have moved in a direction that, intentionally or not, chipped away at that independence. And now we're seeing the consequences of that play out in real time.
There's also strong support, over 60%, for major investment into fuel reserves. Again, not a niche opinion. This is a majority of the country saying we need to take this seriously. And yet, the messaging coming from leadership doesn't seem to match that urgency. Instead, what people are seeing is the Prime Minister travelling overseas, effectively asking other countries for resources that Australia already has. And look, no matter how you spin it, that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. It comes across as unnecessary, even a bit embarrassing. You've got countries with far fewer natural advantages managing their energy needs more effectively, and here we are, resource-rich Australia, acting like we're short on options. That's the disconnect, and voters are picking up on it. This isn't just about policy disagreements anymore, it's about confidence. It's about whether people believe the current leadership actually understands the situation on the ground. Because when you've got rising concern about fuel security, growing support for domestic production, and a government that seems committed to a different path, something's got to give. That's where One Nation is finding its opening. So, where does this go from here? That's the big question. Because if this trend continues, we're looking at a very different political conversation in the months ahead. One where smaller parties aren't just influencing the debate, they're reshaping it. And for Labor, this should be a wake-up call. Because dropping to historic lows while an outsider party pulls level with you isn't something you can just brush off or spin your way out of. It means something's not landing, something's not connecting. And if that doesn't change, these numbers might not just be a moment, they could be the start of something much bigger. But I want to hear from you. Do you think this shift is justified? Are Australians right to push for more domestic energy production? Or do you think the current approach still makes sense long term? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those debates that isn't going away anytime soon. And if you want more breakdowns like this, real talk, no fluff, actually digging into what's happening, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Because if this poll is anything to go by, things are just getting started.